It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video for the Walking Dead comic book series. This is going to be my review for issue 173, which was called Final Fight. Now, I know this video review is a bit late, but I was doing a lot of videos when season 8 started, so I was kind of busy with those, but I finally have the time to do the review for this issue. So overall, I thought this issue was below average, mainly because it disappointed me a lot regarding the storyline with the Whispers. So we had a lot of expectations and we kind of speculated what would happen with Beta. We made a lot of theories regarding Beta himself, his mask, and the return of the Whispers, but everything came together in a predictable manner, but also underwhelming as well. So off of the cover, obviously, we know that this issue would pick up exactly where it left off in the last issue with Jesus and Beta being face to face and Beta confronting Jesus. So this issue basically picked up exactly from there. So we have Beta versus Jesus, and then we have this fight between Jesus and Beta. One thing that was disappointing was how fast Beta was. In this specific panel, Beta should have died. Jesus could have just shot him right then and there. So unrealistic there. But, Beta fights him off. Jesus and Beta have this good fight, I would say, but it shouldn't have been as close as it was. Beta is big, but he doesn't have the skill set that Jesus has. So because of that, I thought that their fight shouldn't have been this close. But one thing that was pretty cool was the parallel between Jesus fighting here and what we just saw in season 8, episode 3 of The Walking Dead, with Morgan fighting Jesus. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But we basically have Aaron saying, Jesus, get down, and he's like going to shoot Beta or whatever, but Jesus says that he can handle it himself, and they continue fighting. It keeps going for a little bit of time. There's a lot of walkers that are coming in. This is mostly what Beta did, so Beta basically brought all of the herd here. So even if things went wrong for him, Jesus and Aaron would still need to deal with the walkers. But the fight continues for a bit longer. Beta at one point dodges a bullet, which is even more unrealistic. And, it's just something that you would only see in the comics, I guess. It's going to be interesting to see how they could do this in the show if it happens. But, they fight for a bit longer. It looks like Beta has the upper hand on Jesus at some point. And Aaron comes in and just shoots Beta. So that's it. That's the end of Beta. Beta basically dies here. Again, very underwhelming. I would have wanted to see Beta live for longer and maybe be a bigger threat, but we didn't see that. Very, very disappointed in what happened there. And what we basically end up seeing is the reveal about Beta and why he has that mask on. So Jesus and Aaron basically take Beta's mask off, and it's revealed that Beta was someone famous. He was a basketball player, a celebrity, and things like that. And Jesus and Aaron have a little talk about that and stuff like that. But, that's a little underwhelming as well because it was predictable. We knew that's the only way it could go down. We knew that the only reason why Beta wouldn't want to be seen is if he is famous, if he's a celebrity. So if that was the case, I don't understand why they delayed it for so long and tried to make it as this big reveal, which it really wasn't, because everyone predicted that. Everyone knew that that was most likely what it was going to be. So then there's this interesting but weird scene. Beta gets right up and says, no, I have no name. After they actually call him by name because they know who he is. He's a celebrity. He just jumps up. He says, no, I have no name, no. And then he drops dead. Again, what was the point of that? That was a little weird. It was like a comedic moment to me. I don't know whether it was supposed to be, but it was to me. It was like, what the fuck was that, But Jesus and Aaron continue talking about it a little bit. Jesus even says it's weird. So that's cool. And that's basically the end of Beta and the Whispers. Well, not all of the Whispers. We'll see them later on in this issue. But, Beta is done. And I think that the Whispers have been a disappointment because Alpha was a disappointment. She died pretty early on. And now Beta is dead. And they didn't utilize the Whispers as much as they could have. And overall, I really think that they failed to give us what we wanted in terms of the Whisperers story arc. Everything was set up for them to do something amazing with the Whisperers, with their disappearance and, for them to come back in a shocking manner. But they ended up screwing that up, in my opinion. But going from there, we have a little scene between Maggie and Dante. They're talking about Negan. Maggie is looking at the map where Dante put an N, indicating where Negan is located. They have a little conversation about that. And we begin to see more and more that Maggie is not just content with leaving Negan be. And, she has her mind occupied and she can't forget about Negan. She can't just pretend like Negan is not going to do anything and pretend like everything is okay. So it's going to be interesting to see what Maggie does and how this moves the story forward. Because we know Maggie's going to go after Negan. That's just a given at this point. We know it's going to happen. It'll be more unpredictable if that's not the case. But it's going to be interesting to see how it happens. And, to see Negan and Maggie face to face. And maybe Maggie confronting Negan. That would be interesting to see. They have their little talk and things like that. Then we see something at the hilltop. And they're basically building this storyline between the trio, Lydia, Carl, and Sophia. And I'm not too interested about that, but it's just something that they're beginning to build up even more now. But, to me, that's not the exciting and interesting part of the story. So I don't have a lot to say about that. Obviously, there seems to be some tension between Sophia and Lydia, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens between them. But going from there, we basically touch base with the group that are on their way to the Ohio community or close to where the Ohio community is. We have this conversation between the characters there, a bit of character development and fleshing out the characters and trying to show that this journey is taking a bit of time and things like that. But then going from there, we're back with Jesus and Aaron again. They see a campfire, they go there and they find out that there's a group of whisperers there. There's a of them that don't want to have anything to do with the whisperers, that they're just tired of this lifestyle, and there's a group that wants to continue with this lifestyle. And, they're pretty much for continuing on with the way they have so far. And Jesus and Aaron basically show up, kill the whisperers that have their masks on still. They're the ones that want to continue on. And they basically save the other whisperers. And it looks like the others, who are just ordinary people, they don't want to be known as the whisperers. They're going to be integrated into the other communities now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But we have this cool conversation between them. And they're just trying to really build that up for us to know that they are ordinary people. But then we touch base with Rick a little bit. He's mourning Andrea's death, but this time after he talks with Andrea in her grave, he doesn't just lay down by the grave and sleep there. He actually gets up and goes to bed. So it actually, in my opinion, shows his progression and shows that he's healing. It's a slow process, but it's happening. So I like seeing that. We have this conversation between Dwight and Lara. Lara confronts Dwight how he can't get over Sherry. She basically says what's on everybody's mind. I think Dwight is beginning to be a little bit annoying, so I like that someone confronted him and said what everyone was feeling. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Dwight now after this little conversation. But then going from there, we go back to the group that are on their journey towards the Ohio community. They're in some sort of train junkyard or maybe a train station or maybe a station of some sorts, and they're just talking, and it seems like they're getting very close to where they're supposed to meet the Ohio community. And at some point, they don't see anything, and Eugene is basically saying that this was the plan, that they should have been here and things like that. So at this point, everyone is thinking something is wrong, something is not right, and they're right. We have the spotlight on, and they're screaming, "Put your weapons down and put your hands in the air now." And they basically hold up their hands, and we have these weapons with the knives sticking out of them. So they're basically surrounded. So it seems like it was all a trap. And maybe Stephanie from the Ohio community fucked Eugene over. And, maybe this is not going to end well for them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Again, it's predictable because we knew that's most likely what's going to happen. We knew that Eugene should not have trusted Stephanie. We knew something was most likely going to go wrong. So, this whole scene, even though it was pretty cool and they played it very well. It was predictable and underwhelming. So this entire issue, I feel, was a little underwhelming. It had some good elements, but overall it was underwhelming and predictable and slower than I wanted it to be. But that's basically it for the review. In terms of a rating, I would give this issue a low good rating. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't great. Like I said, it had some good elements, but overall predictable and underwhelming. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.